Hi everyone, I'm Katie Lusso. Thanks for streaming WUSA 9+. October 9th was the Virginia gubernatorial debate. Democrat Abigail Spanberger and Republican Winsome Earle-Sears went head-to-head for 60 minutes in their first and only debate before Election Day. The topics ranged from the Virginia car tax to the economy, immigration, Title IX policies, and education. Now this debate was one of those can't look away moments. Let's play you some of the highlights.
We had the money, we can do it, but really what I want to ask this first question is, Abigail, when are you going to take Jay Jones and say to him, you must leave the race? I'm going to have a form that says, check here if you want to pay more in taxes. But my opponent needs to answer about Jay Jones.
The loss of the car tax doesn't mean loss of funding to our public schools and to our first. And in fact, I will work with anyone. We should always be focused and forceful in our denouncement of it.
Are you going to tell him
and
to
importantly, my opponent unfortunately only denounces violence when her side is the target.
Don't lie like that, Abigail.
We are all running our individual races. I believe my opponent has said that about her lieutenant governor nominee.
Ms. Earle-Sears.
What would it take him pulling the trigger? Is that what would do it? And then you would say he needs to get out of the race? Abigail, you have nothing to say? Abigail.
Nothing is more important to me than the safety of all of our children. Community to make decisions locally.
That's what this is about.
Ms. Earle-Sears?
There should never be nude men in locker rooms.
We finally have her saying that, but you voted for that.
Ms. Earle-Sears.
Have you finally
Ms. Earle-Sears, you are just intruding on time here.
Are we in agreement change in a gym where men are nude in the locker rooms? Are you going to do that, Abigail?
Ms. Earle-Sears.
I don't think you will. What about your girl children if they came home crying and said that there was a male in the locker room?
My opponent was asked about her record of discrimination, and importantly, my opponent has previously said that she does not think that gay couples should be allowed to marry. She has said that she is quote unquote morally opposed to same-sex marriage. My opponent has also previously said that she thinks it's okay for someone to be fired from their job for being gay. That's discrimination.
Ms. Spanberger, your time is up.
I admire her faith.
Thank you, Ms. Spanberger.
From what I've seen, I believe that she is a devoted mom.
Now, I had the honor of watching the debate alongside 12 George Mason University students. All are freshmen, but come from different backgrounds and have different political beliefs. Let's just say when the debate ended, there were gasps, a lot of wows, and a great conversation that followed. I want you to listen in.
Welcome to Virginia. Election Day is November 4th. Have a great night. How do we feel? Wow. All right, guys. How's everyone feeling?
Wow. Better than I
Feel better when I can. Feel better inside. Why do you feel better?
I don't know. Personally, I just feel like there was a lot of special topics that got talked about that I did not feel like we could touch on. For example, at the end, she spoke about the tariffs. That was something that hadn't been brought up in the entire debate. Her being able to speak on something that's actually harming all of the Americans, not just Virginians in general, but just all Americans across the world, across the United States. The tariffs are something that is getting put on us that are making us generally have to pay more for everything. So I feel like her hitting on that was something that was actually really important.
Anyone surprised by anything specific? Yeah.
I think that specifically Earle-Sears' response to Spanberger pointing out her record of voting for very harsh anti-LGBTQ measures. Earle-Sears responding out of turn that wasn't discrimination. I thought was probably the most shocking moment of the debate for me. And probably I think what most people will be talking about tomorrow.
That specific statement, or that she interrupted her?
That specific statement.
I know I saw a lot of you guys reacting when she said that. Would everyone kind of feel the same, or Yes. Is there anyone who feels differently?
I don't feel differently, but can I get my 2 cents?
Yeah, of course. On that same topic or something else?
On the same topic.
Okay, go for it.
I belong to the LGBTQ community. I'm a trans person, and I'm also gay. And she often, she being Sid, I think for a very long time, minority populations in the U.S. have been attacked and the victim of harmful rhetoric and vitriol. I think that Sears tonight, by denying that not hiring people if they were gay, or not allowing gay people to marry, wasn't discrimination. I think, at least in that aspect and on that issue, she continued that long history of discrimination. Because invalidating that suffering, invalidating the experiences of those people by saying it's not discriminatory is exceptionally harmful. And I think that it's very dehumanizing.
Who do you guys think won the debate? Do you think there was a clear winner tonight?
I think that Sears did better at, like, when I heard her speaking, I felt like she cared more about the issues. I feel like even though it probably wasn't the best for a debate, her, like, being more passionate and stuff, I feel like made me feel like she cared more. When Spanberger, like, her kind of nonchalant attitude kind of felt like she didn't care as much, even though maybe what she was saying was important. It's just the way that she said it, I don't think.
Let's do this real quick. Everyone raise your hand if you think Abigail won the debate tonight. No one. Okay, so you guys all think that, okay, one, kind of?
Kinda.
You think it was 50-50?
I wouldn't say either.
I don't say, I would say the same thing.
Okay, so let's do this. How about who thinks nobody won? Okay. You think Winsome won?
I think so.
Anyone else think Winsome won? Okay.
I like that. I think
Yeah.
I love how Winsome, she played both sides a little bit. Like she did all the attacking, but when she was like when something was put up against her, she could defend it with evidence and with ease. And so I think with Spanberger, she was prepared. I love her composure, but I think she was I think there could have been a little bit more. And plus, I think it was also kind of hard where Sears was interrupting Spanberger. So a lot of times, like my notes, I have so many Earle-Sears notes and very little Spanberger notes because I couldn't really hear what she was saying. I think that technique at the same time, I don't know how voters will see that, but if they're going off of what they heard, a lot of people might lean words-wise towards Earle-Sears because they heard more of what she said versus Spanberger.
I would definitely. I was just gonna say, I would definitely add that I think that Earle-Sears came across as more personable just in kind of how she acted.
Yeah.
Even calling Abigail by her name, Abigail, every time that she made a statement,
Yeah.
by turning to her when she asked her a question. You notice that Spanberger didn't even reference Earle-Sears by her name, it was ma'am. She didn't really turn to speak to her, she didn't address the questions that she was asked. So I think that just in that regard, voters are gonna take away that Earle-Sears definitely did come across as more personable and less stale in that matter.
I love.
I think what you said about like having so many notes for Earle-Sears and very few for Spanberger, I think is kind of like the central like takeaway of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Like no matter what people are taught, like I think all the analysis that goes into this will be about the things that Earle-Sears said, what she did wrong, and what worked really well for her. I think that Spanberger really failed to make an impression.
So Matt, you think that the election is going to be over? Do you want or do you not want Earle-Sears rather than would you rather Spanberger? Is that what you're saying? Like,
Yes.
You think over this debate, it's really going to be, do I agree with her or do I disagree with her? If I'm a person that disagrees with her, I'm just going to take whatever else I have.
At the very least, that's how this debate. I think that's what the analysis for this debate is going to be.
Yeah.
I love how Earle-Sears, the Federalist Papers, when it's being written, they talk about interviewing the executive. And I love how Earle-Sears, now that we know that there's going to be a female governor, but people knowing there's going to be a female governor, she kind of represents that she's not just going to sit back and be quiet. Right? And I think that a lot of people that, because of that, they want a governor who's going to go out and make change. They want a governor who's going to go out and actually be on the front lines. And Earle-Sears being on, like I said, on the debate, doing the attacking, being involved in the conversation and not playing the passive approach, I think that helped her a lot, even though she was doing a lot of interrupting.
Let's go in order, down at the very end. Do you want to say something, or did you want to say something? I thought I saw you before.
Or he wrote his name.
No, okay, yeah, go for it.
Sears definitely talked.
Yeah.
I think that will be shown. I think that's something that everyone in this room can agree with. But I don't think she talked about issues that Virginians care about. The core issues, as we all agree in this room prior to watching the debate, is affordability. I personally would say neither candidate has really satisfied my desire as a voter, as a Virginian, to an actual concrete plan to addressing the affordability crisis, potential risks of energy costs increasing. I would say that both parties have failed in that respect, or at least both electoral candidates.
I cannot agree more with what you just said. Excuse me, a minute ago. I think that's a great idea. I thought that Spanberger looked stiff, for lack of a better word. I believe, Lucas, you said she didn't turn and face her opponent, and little things like that I do think make a difference. I thought she was very by the script. I don't think she said a lot of what her policy was. Particularly, I mean, abortion, just because that's what I'm looking at on my paper. I don't know what she said for that. I thought that Earle-Sears gave a very middle of the road, I guess for lack of a better word, response to that, in kind of leading it up to the doctrine of popular sovereignty in the state of Virginia. Yeah, that would be my takeaway.
So in my notes, and guys correct me if I'm wrong, Winsome said that she would go with what the majority of Virginia wants.
Yeah.
And then Abigail said she would support the Roe standard.
Yeah,
So
that was at the end,
Yeah, so you're still, I think a lot of you are saying kind of along the same things. You're not clear on where either stands on a lot of the issues.
And I agree with I can't say I really agree with what all you guys said about like people like her being a sail off and like not on her part. Because when you look at the voting numbers for Virginia, most of the voting is coming from young voters. We are the next generation of voters. And when you're saying like, when you think about young people, do you think about someone giving each other respect, or do you think about someone that's gonna go out and gonna fight for something? When I think of especially like thinking about like, me as a young voter, I'm not gonna look at someone who's blatantly disrespectful, someone who's always willing to interrupt somebody to be able to get what they want. And what I've seen from, remind me of her name. What I've seen from Sears, what I've seen from her is I've seen someone who's blatantly disrespectful, someone who's not willing to let their opponent get their point across, someone who's just gonna keep on interrupting. And to be honest, is that somebody that we want again? I mean, is that someone that we want to be able to run for governor when we already have someone like that in our chief executive office? Someone who's gonna keep fighting and keep blatantly disrupting people to get what he wants. That's where I'm coming from in this sense, and that's what I feel.
So I completely agree with you. Even though she is, I love her charisma, I love like her passion. She was very like she interrupts. Very good. Remember every time. And I get that like it can help her like Spanberger get under pressure, like trying to answer questions. But if you interrupt every time she speaks, that is a clear indication that you are not respecting her time to speak. You're just interrupting. At that point, it's not even a challenge. It's just pure interruption. And I'm the type of guy that runs on respect. I speak when I'm spoken to. I don't speak when I'm not spoken to.
Kind of refocusing, because someone mentioned previously the importance of having an energetic and passionate executive. Sears is very passionate. None of us in this room, I think, are disagreeing on that. But I think that patience and understanding is also important. And while I think that Spanberger came across as nonchalant in many aspects tonight, she definitely did show that she can be patient, she can be understanding. She didn't interrupt, she was respectful of Sears' time, even though Sears wasn't respectful of her time. And I think that's a very important quality to demonstrate, and I think it was demonstrated quite well tonight.
Let's do you, and then did you have something too? Okay, so you first, and then you.
Yeah, so I just add on and say that I think Sears knew exactly what she was doing with her calculated interruptions. I mean, you look at the percentage points in the polls right now, she's down by double digits, 10 points the last time I checked, so she knew that she had to change her strategy up. So when I look back on tonight, I'm not really surprised at the strategy, but I don't know if there was a definitive winner. I was telling Matt earlier, I think the kind of biggest theme that we saw in tonight's debate was the rhetorical pattern and constant idea of deflection. And it was kind of this idea that voters are going to be the ones that decide big issues that governors should in reality be deciding. For example, we saw that with Abigail Spanberger on Jay Jones when she said, I'm not going to talk about whether I endorse him or not. That should be up for voters. We saw that again on abortion specifically when Earle-Sears tied that back to voters are going to be the ones to decide, when in reality she didn't address the fact that she'd be the one with veto power. So we kind of saw that constant deflection. So again, at the end of the day, I don't think that we got the transparency that we as voters deserve. So although I can't say there was a definitive winner, I do think there was a definitive loser, and that was definitely everybody watching the debate tonight.
Do you guys all feel like that? Do you feel like you're walking away disappointed?
Like to me, it's kind of like I'm in a fog. I don't know who wants what. Because they were not direct with any of the questions they got into. They were just like walking around the discussion. I'm like, well, that's not what I want. All of us, we all want direct answers. We're like not always yes and no, but like, yes, I do agree with this, no, I don't agree with this. And they were just walking around.
I'm so sorry, I skipped you.
I was gonna say I think there were very few direct yes or no responses to most of the questions, and I think that the biggest one was at the very beginning of the debate when Spanberger was unable to answer Earle-Sears' question about the J. Jones text. Like at the very beginning, Sears made those texts one of the central pieces of the debate, and since Spanberger didn't have an adequate response to that question, she just kept hitting her over and over and over and over again, and used J. Jones and Spanberger's record against her throughout the debate, and I think that was one of the key things that weakened her position.
Right. Did you want to say something and then you're...
Yeah. To that point, I think that I think a lot of Spanberger's failure in the debate comes from the fact like you can attempt to take a high road in a debate, I think, and try to appear more like official and composed than your opponent. But I don't think that I think the word nonchalant was used for Spanberger, and I don't think that was the case. I think that Spanberger was visibly bothered by Earle-Sears interrupting her all the time, but also didn't take meaningful time to call her out for it.
Right.
Which I think kind of showed that she was just taking it and not really doing anything to defend herself.
Similar to what he just said, on them kind of not answering questions. I think both candidates did that, but I think Spanberger didn't do a very good job of really pushing in those issues on things that I think that voters typically agree with her more on. Stuff like federal worker layoffs and affordability and reproductive rights. They tend to agree with the positions that Abigail Spanberger is arguing for, and I don't think that she did a very good job on pushing those issues in when Earle-Sears couldn't answer them. Whereas I think Earle-Sears did do a really good job of pushing in things like trans students, which typically voters agree with her more on, and J. Jones.
Do you think they focused on the issues that mattered the most tonight, or do you think they focused on, I know J. Jones was a big topic. Do you think that's an important issue to voters in Virginia?
Now that all the texts have been released, I think that'll definitely tie into something that people have to think about when they're going to vote on November 4th. That's definitely gonna be something that's really
for these two women.
Do
you think J. Jones' text will matter when it comes down to who you pick for governor?
To be honest, no, it won't. For me, it won't matter because like Abigail Spanberger said, she has her own policy, she has her own thing, and she will continue to advocate for what she's advocating for. She said she doesn't like what he said, but I mean, obviously she's not gonna flat out come out and say she's not gonna endorse somebody from her exact same party. Just like Earle-Sears would come out and say she's not gonna endorse another person from her party. If Miaras was to get something like that said about him, she wouldn't blatantly come out and say, no, I'm not gonna endorse him for that, because then she would look bad for her party. So it's just she played a really good game when it came to political parties, and she knew how to ride that fine line and not cross it.
Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that work? We'll go in order down the line.
Kind of adding on a little bit to what Harris said, but also coming back to the question of clarity and focusing on issues that the Virginians care about. I think everyone in this room, or at least most of us, would say affordability is our biggest issue. Can we agree on that? So Jay Jones, what he said, I'm not gonna get into that. I think it's a bit of a waste to spend so much time focusing on that when so many people in this state and in this country are dealing with financial issues, dealing with uncertainty, and yet you're failing to provide meaningful policy answers. And I think that's something which was shown by both sides. I don't think Sears demonstrated that she has any policy at all that's different from current national trends with conservatism. And I don't think that Spanberger particularly demonstrated the strength of some of her policies. So I think in that way, the Virginians are kind of struggling and kind of suffering as a result of that planning and the political power play in that way.
Going back to what Harris said, at what point do you kind of leave your party and the people that are in your party and say something is wrong? When Spanberger didn't outright denounce Jay Jones's comments, that not struck a chord with me, but I thought, oh, I need to remember that. There's a lot of violence going around today, and I get it's somebody in your party, I get all that, but eventually you have to put your country and the safety of the people in your country over your party. So I thought that was a big moment, and her lack of being able to denounce that and say that, I think is a big deal.
Quick question for you guys, because I heard Winsome Earle-Sears say, my opponent has accused me of murder. Did you guys hear that happen?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did.
Yes.
Okay. What did you think of her saying that?
When she said
I
about
think it might have, like,
killing women, when she said killing women, like who she said something about killing women. Yes.
Do you think there's a correlation between what she was talking about and what the texts were implying? Do you think those are similar things to compare?
I think a problem with Earle-Sears saying that is that I think it kind of shows like the double-edged sword of her like interrupting and constantly causing so much noise is that I think that comment kind of gets lost in like, and I think that in particular was a very chaotic moment in the debate.
Yeah.
I think I found that kind of hard to follow when it was happening. So, I mean, we can talk about like this, like we can like contrast that to like the comments made by Jay Jones, but I don't think that a lot of people are going to walk away with that observation. Right.
Let me go back over here, and then you were up next.
I really it's really surrounded what a lot of people said. I feel like Earle-Sears was able to kind of make Spanberger the bad guy in this. Like I look at Jay Jones. There is go tell the senators to go vote and open the government, and then also what she said about transgender students. I think there was like Riley was saying for a lot of topics where she needed to hit hard, she kind of backed away from, gave this very vague answer, and I think that like voters will look at that and say that's it's very vague, doesn't want to go deep into. And Earle-Sears, she laid it out how she feels, what she wants, and I think that makes it when we're thinking about the governor who you're gonna vote for and their ideals. It's like it's one, I know what they're gonna vote for, and the other one, well, it's kind of shaky, kind of iffy. They haven't described it. Okay, we'll find out when they get into office. Like you can't go by that. And so I think Earle-Sears did a great job by establishing what she believes and what she's for. And Spanberger I feel but I do feel that needed to express herself a little bit more. Just that don't be on the fence, but pick a side and explain that if you're for what the people want, to be for what the people want. But say that and not just be oblivious to what's going on.
Did you have something?
Adding on to that, I think honestly that Earle-Sears talks like Trump. She is so passionate in the way she speaks, and she uses like a form of rhetoric that is not used like from any other politician. And though we say we don't like Trump, we love the way he speaks. We eat it up. We say this, that, and to me, watching that, I'd want to do that. I want to look at her. I want to look at the interruptions. I want to look at all of the asking, like, she kept on asking, what about your kids? What about your kids? To me, that's something Trump would do to his opponent. And people, even though they don't like that, they say they don't like that, they love it.
You watch it.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna come to you in a second, but I do have a question. Is everyone here comfortable sharing where they stand on this race, who they were gonna vote for walking in here? If you don't feel comfortable, raise your hand. You guys are all good? Okay, so who came into this with the intention of thinking they were gonna go to the polls and vote for Abigail Spanberger? So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I guess the rest of you, were any of you completely undecided?
I came in undecided.
Okay,
Undecided as
3
well.
undecided?
Yeah, for me, I just have to know a bit more, so if I had to go to the websites, like.
Yes.
Which website? Let me ask that.
Yeah, there's actually an Abigail Lies.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, she
Yeah.
plugged Spanberger Lies
Yeah.
like a good
Yeah,
50
is that
times.
is that a real website?
You know, I was
That's
gonna look it
effective
up.
for
I'll look it up. Well, who came in here fully intending to vote for Earle-Sears? One. Anyone else? So my 3 undecideds, where are you guys at?
I'm gonna have to go do the research, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go, affordablevirginia.com, and then I guess opposite of that was her saying, go look at the VA Clean Economy Act. I guess that's a big thing, cause that's like, expenses on on Virginians, right? Spanberger Lies, just out of like curiosity, I guess, right? And just more general policy stuff. Yeah, so we're gonna do some research. I think that's what the debate is prompting more than anything else.
What about the other 2 of you?
I do completely agree with you, Gavin. I do need to do more research, just because, like I said before, in that debate, it felt like I was in a fog. Like, they were not directly answering the questions that the interviewers asked. So I'm just gonna go to their website and to see what the policies they have, then I'll make my decision.
Are you swaying one way or the other at this point? Did this debate do anything for you? Let me add that.
I think definitely.
Definitely for you? And you walked in undecided?
Yes.
Okay.
I think debates are more important than any other website or any other talking point on the campaign. I thought Earle-Sears, like I said, I thought she won.
Okay.
And I thought she made better points than her opponent did.
And you were undecided walking in?
Yes.
And she did that up there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I've actually moved from this Spanberger camp to more undecided, more with these guys, where I want to dig more into what was going on, because the issues that I was planning on voting for, that Spanberger touted, I don't think that she really stood up for them very well in the debate. And she didn't explain her policy. She didn't have a firm economic plan of how she was going to adjust affordability. She didn't push public schools as much as I thought that she was going to. So now I want to go look more back at her voting record, what statements she made earlier in the campaign, to see what she believed then versus what she's saying now.
I would 100% agree with him. I'm not going to vote for a candidate whose policies I can't articulate or explain. And I don't feel that Spanberger did a good job or an adequate job of being able to defend her policies in tonight's debate. So if I'm going to vote for Spanberger, I'm definitely gonna have to do more extensive outside research on what she actually stands for. Because walking away from tonight's debate, I don't think I got an answer to that.
Who is walking away voting for Abigail Spanberger? No question. 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 for you guys? Am I doing the math right? Who's undecided? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And who is? So wait, are there 2 of you that are voting for Earle?
Yes, the 2.
2. Okay, gotcha.
I'd say that I think that both candidates failed to articulate what their points are. I don't think it was just a failure of Spanberger. I think that a failure to articulate plans, programs, policy has been endemic to the Sears campaign. You go on their main campaign website, and the first thing is cancel culture issues and articles that are designed to get your attention and not necessarily be accurate or politically unbiased.
Well, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you guys doing this with us.
Thank you so
much.
much.
You guys are great.